Hey everybody, I'm filming this intro after the fact. My car is currently at the paint protection film, ceramic and window tint shop. But what you're going to see in this video is a very lengthy 4-day, full day from morning till bedtime of me doing a paint correction to fix all the issues that came on my 2020 carbon fiber track pack. I requested that the car arrive dirty so that I do the initial wash. And as I washed the car, I could start seeing the issues. And then when I got it in my garage, I've got a bunch of super bright 30 LED overhead lights that have, I think, 4,500 lumens apiece. So everything is revealed by these lights. As I start working around my car, I could see all the issues, scratching, marring, and the worst of which was the car at some point got bird poop on it. To include on the $10,000 painted stripes that had etched into it. So you're going to see me wet sanding $10,000 stripes. I also had to wet sand the rear wing, the carbon fiber wing, which is a little bit nerve-wracking since it's such an expensive piece. But my initial thought was this car wasn't as bad as my base model, which had the vinyl stripes. The base model, when it came, where all the stripes were applied, especially on the hood, there were a lot of deep scratches. I had worked all those out when I got that car. But this car, I didn't see the really deep scratches on the hood, but basically, there was a lot more marring and scratching around the car. And then the bird poop, the etching is what kind of put this car in the worst category. So quite a bit of wet sanding, polishing. You're going to see my process in this video, so thanks for watching. Here we go. It made it. Just looked over the wheels. They look great. It's all dusty, as you can see. I asked for nobody touching it, washing it. It's got a little bird poop on it. Painted stripes. I get it home, get it all cleaned up. Hopefully give it its one and only ever bath. After that, it'll just be duster and detail spray. Good and dusty. Well, nothing like wet sanding on $10,000 stripes. Getting ready to do my paint polish. On first looks, this car is way better than when my base car came. My base car had vinyl stripes, and basically the whole hood area was horribly scratched. I can only assume from people climbing around on it doing the vinyl stripe install. This car has the painted stripes. And other than, a few little blemishes here and there and some bird dropping etchings, I don't see all the scratching like I did on the last car. I'm still going to give this car a full polish and get it as shiny as possible prior to sending it in for paint protection film and ceramic. But I think I'm starting with a better start point, so to speak. All right, if you're going to do polishing, it'd probably be a good idea to take this big rear wing off. I've got, there's a tool in the owner's kit that comes later. I sent that with my base model when I sold that. But I just have a 1/4-inch drive with a number 5 Allen head wrench or bit. And it goes in there. I was just able to hold the nuts on the other side of my finger. I loosen those up. I'm going to take out those 4 little machine screws and then lift it off carefully. I removed the machine screws. There's 4, 2 on each side. Incidentally, the aft nut on the passenger side and the forward nut on the driver's side stayed attached to the wing. Now I'm just going to lift it off, and there is the hardware. There is about $16,000 worth of carbon fiber. It is super light. It's like lifting nothing. And we'll go take a look at the back of the car without it. There we go. All right, for polishing, paint correcting the 2020, I'm going to show you my tools and process. I've polished, I think, every car in here. I've got a lot of experience polishing the cars through the years. The products, not necessarily overly important. You can get great results from most products. I just happen to use Meguiar's products just because they're available at my local O'Reilly's just down the street. But my weapon of choice, a Griot's 6-inch polisher with an orange pad for correcting. Once I switch to the finer compounds for polishing at the end, I'll switch to a red pad. My other weapon of choice is a 3-inch polisher. Actually, I have some wet sandpaper. I'll talk about that here in a second on there. So this 3-inch polisher normally has a 3-inch orange pad for correcting. You know, I work compounds, but if the marks, the blemishes are bad enough, like bird poop on this car, then you gotta switch to sandpaper. I use foam-backed 3000 grit paper, you know, wet sanding, either water or detail spray. Either by hand or like I was just showing you here, I'll cut a circle and put it on my polisher and work the area with this, keeping it wet. If that's not aggressive enough, then I add you know, a more aggressive grit. This happens to be 1500 grit. I really don't like to use anything more than that because then you start putting the scratch, the sanding lines in there, and then it takes a lot to work it out. But as far as the products, this is magic in a bottle. This is Meguiar's Pro Speed Compound. It starts out kind of aggressive. You know, it shows the red arrow on the top there all the way up, heavy cut. So it starts out aggressive and then it breaks down into a polish. So it's kind of all in one bottle. I'm gonna do one complete round on the car with that. Then I'm gonna switch to this with probably still an orange pad. And like I said, the products aren't necessarily overly important, but it's more the technique. And then I'm going to finish with red pads and show car glaze. I'm not going to put any wax on the car because, like I said, it's going in for paint protection film and ceramic. So back to the fight. Here we go again. When I got the car, it had a couple of bird poop droppings. One right here etched in kind of nicely. And this is now the third round of wet sanding. I tried just polishing and it wasn't getting deep enough. So I'm using 3000 grit sandpaper, some detail spray, and like I said, that's after quite a bit of polishing. And then I did a round of wet sand, polish it, could still see it. Round of wet sand, polish it, could still see it. So now this is number 3. And I think there's another one over on the other side over there too. I'll have to hit in a bit. Well, after maybe 8-9 rounds of 3000 grit and polish after, you can still see it right there in the light. So now I'm going to try 1500 grit and go from there. So then I switch to 3000 grit and polish, 3000 grit polish, 3000 grit polish. And I'm trying to stay off the stripes which are painted, but yeah, it just wasn't quite getting there. So now I put 3000 grit foam back paper on the back of my small 3-inch polisher, and I just polished the area with sandpaper and detail spray. And now I'm going to polish it out again and see how it looks. All right, did a lot with the 3-inch, but that pad's kind of softer. Broke out the 6-inch, which has a harder edge pad. Could get right up and work along the stripe, and it was nerve-wracking but completely erased. No sand marks. Bird etching is gone, and I'm happy. I think I have 1 or 2 on the other side to work on. That one was sporty. Done first stage of polishing up through here, down through the nose here, including the stripes. This side of the hood I haven't polished yet. I'm using speed compound for the first stage. I'm going to show, hopefully these show up on the film there. You can see some marring in the paint on this side. There's some right there. Not too deep. My base model had a lot more scratches. Let's see if, oh yeah, there you can see these right in the reflection there, right on that curvature. Yeah, all right through here is got a lot of scratches. You can see those in the reflection. And there's some through here. But these should all polish out just fine. There's some up here on this fender lip. Just gonna make it all shiny before we do the paint protection film and ceramic. It's coming. Show just the difference the first stage of polishing does. So I polished basically this area, the front right side of the hood. And those marring marks are all gone. They're real heavy here in the valley. There's some over here. And I'll try and pick up the area that I didn't polish. So you can see right up there where I didn't polish. And right there in the valley, all those marring marks. Yeah, there we go. You can kind of see them in the reflection. And then down here where I polished, that's all gone. But it will get shinier yet. This is stage 1 of 3 rounds of polishing, followed by the film and the ceramic. But the stripes already look glossy. All right, so just completed this area to the passenger side of the hood vent. And there were a few areas that needed 2 or 3 rounds of polishing. All I do is I use my orbital polisher and I work an area for a while and then wipe it and move my head around, use all these bright overhead LED lights, reflection to see if I can see any marring or scratching still. And just keep doing that process until they're completely erased. And I don't see any of those scratches or marring marks anymore. They're all gone. Still got a lot more of the car to do. Let's see if we can find, there was some etching marks over here, including one right here in the stripe, which actually, it's a double splatter, right? Let's see if we can see it. It's hard with the reflection to see it. Oh, there we can kind of see it in the light right there. Yep, there's 2 splatter marks right there in the stripe. There's one right here on the paint. You can kind of see there in that light. And there's a few more marks down here, something etched in there. Gotta try and get rid of all that. Down here we got some marring marks on the hood. And, you know, I think that's just water spots there. Some more marks there. Got to get the rest of the hood done. So the area up here, a couple spots up here that I said were probably water spots. Not sure what they are, but they're etched in pretty good to the clear coat. I did a couple rounds of polishing, and they're better, but you can still see the outline. Time to bring in the bigger guns. Again, I use 3-inch polisher, griot polisher, and I've got 3000 grit foam sandpaper. I'm just using detail spray because I got it here in the garage, but water works too. And I'm going to take this over and work the area. All right, before I polish, I'll show you the wet sanded area and see the big dull area there on the hood. That's the area that I just wet sanded, and we're going to polish it back out and see if we can still see those etchings in there. All right, back to my 6-inch griot polisher, and I've got the Speed Pro Speed compound on there. These are kind of loud, so I wear hearing protection because I'm doing this all day, probably for at least 2 days. mostly gone, just a tiny little bit. I'll hit it with the polish. We're gonna do a little bit more wet sanding. All right, round 2 of the wet sanding. Time to polish it again and see where we're at. All right, success. I don't see any more etchings or marring anywhere in the paint. And again, I mean, it looks shiny now, but it's gonna get better as I do the finer stages of polishing. The only thing that remains on the hood is this troubled area of the stripes. If we can see it in the light there, it's hard to pick up on camera. But there are it's a double etch spots right there, as well as some in the red. Yeah, and actually there's 4 down here too. You can kind of see those in the light there. Trying to get them all out so they're not underneath the film. Well, nothing like wet sanding on $10,000 stripes. So there was a double splatter here, there was one right there, and then this area had a bunch of splatters that just didn't go away with polishing. I used the 3000 grit again, and just kept doing very light sanding, wipe it, check it, and kept doing that until it disappeared. And now hopefully I can polish it back to a gloss, and there's no signs of the etching. All right, after the first round of wet sanding and polish, I could still see it. So I just did a second round of wet sanding. A lot of it was taken out, but one more round with 3000 grit. I think I'm gonna stop here regardless of whether it comes out completely or not. It's mostly out. I just have no idea how thick the clear is on these stripes, so I don't wanna play with fire. You know, it's a little disconcerting. Wet sanding if I burn through that clear. So polish it up and see how it looks. All right, very happy with the results. It's 99.9% out. You really got to struggle to see where it was. I'm not going to take it any farther. I'm happy with the results. All right, working on the roof. I've got to hand it to Penske. These black painted stripes are absolutely gorgeous. And again, this is after the first stage of polishing. They are fabulous. You know, the bird etching on the front up there was not Penske's fault, obviously. Let's see if we can see, I don't know if this is going to show up on the film or on the camera here, but I've polished up to about here. This side is super smooth and shiny, and then over here is kind of a haze. Really hard to see on the camera. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it a little bit there. You can see a haze down through here. This is the area that's not polished, and then up here is the area that is polished. You can see that light haze in the paint down here. So the polishing's working. Found a couple more scratches and areas that need work. I'll have to wet sand. So here is a scratch right here. That's right above the driver's side door. And then down here on the driver's side back fender, there's some good marring right here on the paint. They both look like things I can polish out, or actually wet sand out. All right, this one's a little bit deeper. I just did 3000 grit and I can still see it through the dull there. I'm gonna try polishing it and see how we're doing. But I think I'm gonna need to maybe hit it with 1500 grit. And this one down here is all, looks like it all sanded out. Polish it up and see how it looks. I used 1500 grit. I went across the grain of the scratch, and then I used my little 3-inch rotary polisher with 3000 grit on there. I can still see it a little bit in there. I'm gonna polish it out. I don't wanna take this down too deeply. I think it's gonna be very minor. You know, never really sure how thick the clear is, so I don't wanna risk that. The other one down here completely disappeared. All gone. With that little scratch right there, you can see it when you look real closely in the light. A lot of it's come out, but I don't want to take it too low. Plus, it's near an edge there, so you risk burning through edges, which I obviously don't want to do. And it's quite possible I'm going to get paint protection film on the roof on that, on this as well as ceramic, and it's quite possible you won't even see that. All right, so the roof is done, the hood's done, and I did all the sides earlier. It's time to hit the rear deck lid. All right, before I work on the rear deck lid, I just wiped it down. You can see a blemish right there in the stripes. Right there, you can see that in the on the stripes as well. There's another one right here. I'm gonna try just polishing them and see if they come out. Otherwise, it's gonna be more wet sanding. Looks like there might be a little one. Yeah, there's another. Whoop, I put a lot of polishing dust there. Little one right there. Let's try and get all those out. See how it looks. As I got into polishing it more, I saw this one had kind of a nice scratch down there, this stripe. There were a couple more blemishes over here, including up on top of this wing holder. But I'm happy to report that all of the blemishes are out. And again, this is first round of polishing. It looks pretty dang shiny now, but there's more to come. Oh, and a shout out to Ford. This probably was done for airflow, but usually brackets like this are squared off, and trying to get a polisher into there is, you know, obviously impossible, round polisher. So nice and round, you can get a polisher right up against that. Fabulous. And this is angled back, I'm assuming for airflow, but nice to see that. And the stripes look fabulous. The stuff you see on there is polishing compound dust. It's coming. So when polishing the cars, I like to get them up on the lift. Saves the back, it's easier to get at. You know, I do all the front, the sides, the back, all when it's kind of up at, you know, chest to eye level. And then drop it down on the floor to do the top panels. It just is, makes life easier. It's coming though. The speed compound round is done. Shine's looking pretty good. And I think we'll switch to the Swirl Remover next. That's just a finer polishing compound. Day 2, gentlemen. Hard deck is 10,000 feet. Back for second place in the ladies' room. I'm up early. Spent all day yesterday correcting the blemishes out of the car. Round one of polishing, wet sanding was yesterday. Pretty happy with the results. Only one scratch that I'm going to not work any lower or deeper, just because I'm concerned about the clear coat, and I think the paint protection film is going to hide it anyways. But today's goal, I'll be probably polishing all day today as well. Today's goal is to just make it shine more. So yesterday was speed compound, pro speed compound. Today is finer polishing of Swirl Remover. Easier said than done, Swirl Remover. And then the final round is going to be car show glaze. And then I only have a few more days left, or a couple more days left, until I have to take it in for paint protection film and ceramic. So on to day 2. Well, during polishing, I ended up seeing a reflection in the light and saw one more area on this front bird splatter poop that needed to be wet sanded. So one more light round of 3000 grit. Got to polish it back out. Well, once again, I used the speed compound followed by the Swirl Remover, which is the step I'm doing now. And it is 98% gone, so I'm not going to worry about that last tiny little bit. You really have to search for it. Again, I don't know how deep this clear is, so I'm not going to get too aggressive on it. Well, it looks pretty good. When I'm doing my polishing, I just kind of pick a part of the panel. Like in this case, I haven't wiped it off yet, from here to here. And, I worked the area for a good probably 5 minutes. Not too big of an area for the compound to dry out. And just keep polishing. And it's coming. I got one more step to go. All right, the top sides are all done with round number 2. Time to get the car up for working on the sides a little more easily. That should do it. Back down on the mechanical locks. There's a couple little scratches on the top stripe here. There's one here which I've already worked out, just found this one. And did some light wet sanding. Got to polish it out now. A handy tip for those of you who are using a polisher or an orbital buffer. The areas under the mirrors are always tough to get to. Not everybody might know that these mirrors fold, so you can get your buffer in there a little tighter. And then to get the back sides, they actually go forward, so you can get in there and polish it up. Leaving the splitter wickers off really helped polish this area. Would not be able to get a buffer in there with the splitter wickers on. And while I was working in this area at different angles, different lighting, found a few more minor scratches that I'm going to need to wet sand. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it on this camera here, but maybe not. Yeah, there's one right here. Oh, there you can kind of see it right there. And then there's a couple blemishes in the paint. There's a little dot right there and another scratch right alongside it. I'm gonna wet sand those out and polish it again. Wet sanding, scratch, little dot, and another little scratch. Gonna polish it out and see if I went deep enough on the wet sanding. All right, success. Those spots are right in here, and they are erased. Well, one spot and two little scratches. So that leaves just the front. I have to do the swirl remover on the front, and then I'm going to finish up with show car machine glaze. Use my 3-inch to get all the small tight red areas there around the front fascia. It's working. There's going to be some areas I can't get to, but I'll just clean those by hand. Alright, I was polishing the front bumper cover with my 3-inch and got a bunch of compound in the tow bar hook, the tow bar hook plate there, which I opened. My base model was pretty stiff, so I tried opening it and it wouldn't release. I didn't want to force it. This one was easier to open. So showing the tow hook, just a side distraction here. This comes in a bag inside with the floor mats, and it looks like it's backwards threads. But this threads in right here. I'm not going to go in all the way, but that shows the tow hook on the front of the Shelby GT500. So these black panels are notorious for getting scratched up. I've got, you can see a couple scratches there. So I'm going to try and just polish those out. And then, once it's all good, it's going in for, this area will get ceramic, which will keep that area from getting scratched. But we'll see if we can get those out with just polish. That's just some compound residue there. But all the scratches are out. I polished the whole panel. Opened up the trunk lid so I could kind of polish the edges there. All right, I did the entire car with step 2, which was swirl remover. Happy that I have air conditioning. I've got a 2-headed mini split. It's 106 degrees outside. They're struggling to keep up. It's about 30 degrees cooler in here, mid to upper 70s. But now it's time to switch. I'm switching to a red pad. It's actually red, it's just a little bit older. And I'm actually going to use machine glaze. I went to O'Reilly's late last night and got this stuff. And give it its final shine. On the hood vent, not sure what it is. It's a kind of a raised rough area. I'm going to try and polish it. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. We'll see. Well, I used my 3-inch polisher and swirl remover and held it on that area for a while, kept checking it, and it erased that bump that was there, or whatever it was. Here's another tip. So I use these to clean my wheels. Very good for dust, brake dust, but also works great getting all the polishing dust out of all these vents on the hood. This is a Swiffer hand duster, and yeah, very handy. Like I said, I normally have them around just for cleaning wheels, but working great for this. Swiffer duster. The hood has been polished. Three rounds of polish, and actually I used the dry buffing pad at the end on the hood. Some dust in there from the hood vent still is covered in polishing dust. We'll have to de-dust the car once it's all complete. Those stripes are fabulous. Well, end of day 2. I'm calling it a wrap for day 2. Still got more to go for day 3 tomorrow, but the roof is completely done. I did the 3 complete polish levels on the roof. The hood is mostly done. I just finished with the car show glaze, but there were a couple spots I noticed some scratching and marring still, so I'm going to go back and hit that with the Pro Speed compound, just, you know, small 3-inch work a little area and shine that back out. But I think there were 3 spots over on the passenger side of the hood that still need some attention. And then the car show compound, or the glaze, whatever it's called, on the you know, sides, front and back, as well as the trunk lid. It's going to be another full day tomorrow, but it's coming along nicely. Well, it's early morning on day 3 of this project. I got to start out by hitting a few spots on the hood that I found late yesterday. Got to bring those out to the 3 stages of the polishing. I'm going to get the car up in the air and hit it with machine glaze. Once it's all polished up all the way around, all 3 stages, then I got to clean up all the splatter and the dust, and it's kind of a mess right now, but hope to finish this project today. Paint protection film appointment is in 2 days. Pressure. All right, just finished spot treating the hood, and I found about, I think, 5 areas. So started with a 3-inch orange pad and speed compound, again, Pro Speed compound, on my 3-inch gray oaks polisher, and then switched to Swirl Remover, and then went to a 6-inch with the machine glaze again, and then finally the dry buffing pad. But yeah, and these overhead lights, you know, they show everything. So as I'm moving my head around, I'm seeing tiny little imperfections, and just trying to get it as perfect as possible prior to having the film applied. But yeah, it looks good now. There was some scratches and marring down in this little valley here alongside the hood strip, or the hood vent. And then found a few scratches up here along by the edge of the fenders. All right, if you can see me back behind my lift here. So I started with the car on the ground, and you know, I did all the top surfaces. Then I hit this area right here with it up on maybe the first notch of the lift. Raise up again and kind of hit the middle area right through here. And now I've raised it way up, and I'm going to hit the bottom area here. Trying to work without being hunched over, bent over all the time. All right, just finished polishing the bumper and the lower area there. I got to show the wonderful reflection in this thing. Love it. So shiny. And down here as well, those stripes are ridiculous. Use my 3-inch polisher down in here. Could use the 6-inch up on the face here, but 3-inch everywhere else. All right, just finishing up the trunk lid. Something I've noticed on this car. I washed it Tuesday night. It's now Saturday, later in the day. And I still have water coming out of here. When I come around this area with the buffer, water comes out from underneath this wing mount. I would imagine that would be a good source of rust for cars that get a lot of water on them, maybe sit outside. But yeah, let's see, Saturday, we're at the end of the week. This was earlier in the week, so still have water coming out from underneath there. All right, I had the wing off to polish the trunk lid. Now the wing actually needs to be polished, so I'm actually going to reinstall it for the first time, reinstalling for the first time, and polish it in place, because that'll be a good spot to hold it steady. All right, I got a light so you can see. There's two holes in the back, so you can adjust the back of the wing up for more downforce. And there's the other side. It's just an Allen key head there. And the other side, carbon fiber is fabulous. There we go. And this wing needs to be polished. There are marks from the stickers. I'm assuming it's just tape residue. All right, I'm going to try polishing the wing. I'm going to skip straight to Swirl Remover, which is super fine polish. Brand new orange pad on my 6-inch. I'll see how it goes. So far, so good. No more marks. Got rid of the, I think there were tape lines maybe. They didn't wipe off very easily though. But all good and shiny. And I'll do one final level of machine glaze. Alright, so on this side I found a couple few scratches a little bit through here. And there's one tiny little one right here in the light, if you can see that. Let's see here, right there. I've tried buffing it out. It wouldn't come out. It's gotten a little better. But I'm going to do a little light wet sanding on it and then polish it out just to remove that. And I am going to get paint protection film put on top of this wing to protect it. Probably the top and sides, inside, outside on the side vanes there. Alright, so there's what a little wet sanding on the wing looks like. As best I can tell, the scratches out. I won't fully know until I go to polish it. So time to do the 3 stages of polishing on it. Actually, I'm just going to do, let's see, yeah, 3 stages of polishing, and then I'll do the whole wing with the car show glaze. So it's going on 10 o'clock on the third evening of polishing this car, and I think I'm done polishing finally. I ended up having to wet sand the carbon fiber rear fin there a couple times and polishing it a few times. I'll show you that after I'm done talking here. But car's all polished, looking fabulous, and now it's a long cleanup. Matter of fact, I'll probably be doing all the cleanup on tomorrow, the 4th day. But there is splatter everywhere. There's every nook and cranny. Every panel in between has polishing compound. I'm going to have to open up all the panels and get between them. Got to clean the headlights. I mean, there's just polishing compound everywhere. But here we'll take a look at the spoiler, all nice and shiny. All right, hit the end planes here too. You know, it was already shiny. I just took it up another notch. But here is the carbon fiber goodness. And the area that I wet sand twice right there. All good to go now. So I got to clean up all the dust, all the compound on the windows, trim, everything. It's going to be a lengthy cleanup, but it was a worthy project. And now I've got a good clean surface, super shiny, to put the film and the ceramic. All right, see you tomorrow for cleanup. Well, today is day 4 of this project. It's cleanup day. You can probably see I've been growing a beard throughout this video. I'd like to get this wrapped up today because if possible, I'd like to get this car loaded up in a trailer by this evening. Tomorrow is the appointment for paint protection film, ceramic, and window tint. So full day of cleaning. Here we go. There's a lot of polishing, compound, dust, residue all over the car, all the nooks and crannies. So cleanup will take quite a while. You're looking at my weapon of choice for removing all the compound out of the crevices. I am using the nozzle and soft brush to work all the debris out of all the cracks and crevices. All right, work my way around the car on cleanup and just clean that hood vent, which is a fun challenge. Just saw some more very light scratching in this front, you can see right there in the light, in this front stripe. So I'm going to do a little more correction on that. I'm trying to get it as perfect as possible before it gets covered in film. All better. That's just some haze from the overhead light reflection, but all the scratching is gone.